You're watching Euronews Now. I'm Tacumbo Salako with your top stories. EU defence ministers are meeting as an operation to evacuate the Azovstal steelworks in Mariupol is continuing, with hundreds of Ukrainian troops due to be released. The UK is reportedly drawing up battle lines for a trade war with the EU as it readies to rip up its Brexit deal. We'll have the latest. And glitz, glamour, and that's not exclusive to the red carpet. Cannes, arguably the world's most famous film festival, goes in search of glory on its return after the pandemic.
A dozen buses carrying Ukrainian fighters who were holed up beneath Mariupol's Azovstal steelworks have been evacuated. Ukrainian authorities confirm that more than 260 were transported out of the plant and taken to areas controlled by Russian-backed rebels. Ukraine's deputy defense minister said an exchange procedure will take place to bring evacuees home. In his nightly address, President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked the Ukrainian military, the Red Cross and the United Nations for negotiating the ceasefire and evacuation. In a tweet, he went on to say, "I want to emphasize Ukraine needs its heroes alive. This is our principle. I think that every adequate person will understand these words." The fighting at Azovstal in ruined Mariupol has symbolized Ukrainian resistance throughout Russia's nearly 3-month invasion. Most civilians who had sought shelter at the vast Soviet-era plant were evacuated earlier this month. Following the evacuation of combatants, it appears that Ukraine has finally ceded control of the city. Elsewhere, and Ukraine says its troops that are counter-attacking against Russian forces in the northeast have pushed them back from the city of Kharkiv and advanced as far as the border with Russia. While Russian forces have shelled frontline positions in Ukraine's eastern Donbass area, there have also been unconfirmed reports of rocket attacks on the western city of Lviv. Witnesses said they heard at least 8 explosions.
Ukraine's foreign minister is in The Hague as part of a European diplomatic tour de force. It's Dmytro Kuleba's final stop, where he will meet members of the Dutch government and also bring attention to Ukraine's cases against Russia at the International Criminal Court, as Stefan de Vries reports from Amsterdam.
It will be the first time Dmytro Kuleba is travelling to The Hague. The foreign minister will meet with his counterpart Wopke Hoekstra. Kuleba will also meet with the Dutch King Willem-Alexander, Prime Minister Mark Rutte and several Dutch MPs. The parties will discuss sending more weapons by the Dutch to Ukraine, expanding sanctions against Russia and closer collaboration with the European Union. However, The Hague does not make any promises about possible membership of the EU. The Dutch government insists that the country will not be offered a fast-track route to join the European Union. The Hague is not only the seat of the Dutch government, but also of the International Criminal Court. Kuleba's trip is also an opportunity to promote Ukraine's claims against Russia to bring the country to justice for its alleged war crimes against the Ukrainians. His 2-day visit to the Netherlands concludes Kuleba's European tour that brought him to Brussels and Berlin. On Wednesday, he will travel back to Kiev. Stefan de Vries in the Netherlands for Euronews.
Since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, some Russian opposition members, journalists and activists had been searching for refuge outside the country.
The propaganda very actively uses the message that outside of Russia, no one likes Russians, and those people are really losing hope that something can be done, that someone outside of Russia cares about them.
Since February 24th, the number of Russians seeking safety has increased.
Recent months, the quantity of these people are increasing. Also, after the war started, we have had another group, Russian citizens who leave from Ukraine. After 2014, many activists, Russian activists in danger, left to Ukraine.
Alina and Andrei, a journalist couple from Kazan. After a long trip through Turkey and Georgia, they arrived in Warsaw late March.
I already went to film protests in Kazan, as we were already exposed using the new Russian legislation. They could arrest, search us at any moment. We understand very well that by calling the war now, staying in Russia and working in the media, it's dangerous. It falls under the criminal law.
The air has become so heavy that it was impossible to breathe. Our colleagues, they're everywhere, some in Georgia, some in Turkey.
As we figured out, are in danger of up to 15 years of imprisonment. This is the price we pay for saying the truth, to call the war a war.
While the situation in the country remains tense, polls and research still show a high approval rate for Putin's policies in Russia. Therefore, leaving is not necessarily a political decision.
Believe that there is a huge opposition, popular opposition to the war in Russia. Certain people that decided to move abroad. Political motives are only part of the reason why they leave Russia. I do believe that some of them are more concerned with the economic situation. Currently, it's not so bad, but we already are getting some information that there are some internal problems.
The exact number of Russians who have left Russia since February 24th is unknown. Experts put the number between 300,000 to possibly over a million people. Poland, that became a popular destination for Belarusian opposition, now also welcomes Russians. Magdalena Hodownik for Euronews from Warsaw.
In Northern Ireland, Republican Party Sinn Féin has accused the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson of placating the Democratic Unionist Party as the region remains gripped in political deadlock. Since Assembly elections earlier this month, Northern Ireland is without a government, as the DUP refuses to enter a power-sharing agreement with Sinn Féin, as required by the Belfast Peace Agreement. The DUP wants drastic changes to the Northern Ireland Protocol, which governs post-Brexit trade between the region and the rest of the UK. Euronews reporter Tig Enright has more from London.
The British government is expected to make its intentions clearer about the Northern Ireland Protocol later today. It could announce new legislation to override elements of the Brexit deal, which kept Northern Ireland in the single market without the agreement of the European Union. There have been weeks of escalating rhetoric here in London over the treaty and its provisions to keep the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland open without customs. In Belfast, the biggest unionist party is refusing to form a new power-sharing government until it's changed. Some have talked here about tearing it up entirely, but Boris Johnson and his ministers now say they want to change certain elements to make the customs checks which happen between here in Britain and Northern Ireland less intensive. In Brussels, they'll be watching closely, but don't expect detailed plans to be announced. More likely a formal notification of the intention to do so. Europe will be angry, but it won't get precise information yet. So, while London tries to convince Brussels of its proposals, at the same time it's threatening to impose them anyway if it doesn't get its way. There are warnings that it could trigger a rebellion by members of Parliament who are in the ruling Conservative Party but who are moderates, and by Lords who sit in the upper house. This because of the danger that it sparks a trade war with the EU. Some question if it's political theatre designed to satisfy those on the right wing of Johnson's party and distract them from his other troubles. But they're watching in Washington too. With its strong Irish lobby, President Biden has sent a clear message that a rogue UK, which tears up its treaties, won't get a trade deal with the United States anytime soon. Tig Enright, Euronews in London.
We've got much more news and analysis to come after this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few moments.